there's obviously a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of optimism for this idea of open source, and I think that's good on one level because it will push that forward and continue people to develop that idea. But I think for those of us who are working with this, we also have a responsibility to think critically about the limits of open source. And I think your comment about us having this tool of the internet and not using it very well is very poignant, because that's kind of my experience. There's a great statistic about open source projects on SourceForge, which is a place where you share them, and the average number of collaborators on the project is 1. And the average number of commits, of changes made to it, when you round it to the nearest whole number, is 0. Meaning people aren't using these things just because they're out there and they're free. And this is the I don't know if it's a paradox of information and freedom, is that once it's out there, it's not good enough. Just that it's out there, just that it's open. And I think to some extent, we see a trend of things going there. Things are getting more open, things are getting more free. People are accepting those sources and those and seeing them out there. But maybe that's not where we need to focus. We need to focus on how can we use this information? How can we help people use this? And so my specific recommendation for Detroit would be to have a unit on open source licenses and software rights, or just open design, copyright, all those issues be discussed in a civics course in school, and have it be part of the education program, where you understand why this is different. Because the generation coming up is using things like Wikipedia to get their knowledge, and they don't understand how radically different that is and why that's so important. And so in order for them to take those things, take those ideas, take this information, take this data, and see that it's essential to use this on a matter of civic engagement, on a matter of, on the same level of understanding why it's important to be involved in your government, to be involved, to go out and vote, to have an educational program that explains why these things are different from the past, why it's a break from the historical way of doing things, to get the next generation thinking of how they can develop more and how they can utilize all of these things that we're working to make open and make free.
The great potential I see is the internet, and is the open access to our collective mankind memory. Something that is just on the way to being put into the internet, on the quotes, all the different kinds of stories that are here to give us another idea how to do something. And what I would do in Detroit, what I'm doing here or there to work together with other people is work on the debate, work on the media we have to memorize our debates and have it accessible, and don't use the classical mass media or the political institutions to put bank our knowledge there and then have to put it out again. But organize our collective memory together. By means of debating on the street and putting the debate on Wikipedia and have it accessible, what we were talking about, what our stories, our knowledge is, and having it done repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly, and controlling our own knowledge and the building process, the educational process we have as a team, as a group, as a part of the city or whatever. And using the collective memory that there is out there, accessible through the internet or through the digital world. All the other ideas of what could be a possible means, what could be possible ways to solve that problem, or find another idea how to another perspective just to view the problem. And what is quite important for me is not to let our perspective be built by the mass media, by the culture industry, by the usual way things are done, but build our own memories of what we did experience and work on our own knowledge basis. That's what I would try to do in Detroit as well. Always the interaction between talking, debate on the street, in the houses or wherever, and the internet as use of organizing our collective memory.
Well, I think now we're in a good discussion. That's fascinating. I want to go back to what you said about design. I just wasn't clear enough. I'm very interested, and I've worked on and I have developed all kinds of things that make it more possible for people to build their own houses. Are you talking about designing their own houses, or going on the top of designing, also building? So the people who have not had much training, who don't have much, I mean, a very simple thing I think any place, whether you are in Detroit or whether you are in Linz or whether you are in Denmark, in the usual way of building, it's incredibly wasteful, but it's also enormously restrictive. There's only certain kinds of things that they sell, and they are tailor-made for people who have spent 10 years working on it. But there's very little when you're looking for somebody who has a good mind, but who has no experience. So we have developed building systems. I'm assuming you're from Denmark, so you must be familiar with the Lego game. And so I can show you pictures of houses that people have put up that are a little bit like the Lego game, only the pieces are about this big, and they're made out of waste wood, and it's extremely ecological. But for us, the most interesting thing is to get to the point where people can do it themselves. So, are you working on people building themselves?
Yes, we are, but this particular project at the moment we are only testing ourselves so far, and we haven't exactly made it available to people to use it yet. But the whole point is that we want people to be more aware of why do their buildings look the way they do, is often because a certain producer of concrete or bricks or whatever it is that it's made of has an interest in houses continuing to look like that. So if one can create an awareness that, I know that a lot of people are building their own houses everywhere, probably in particular in Detroit, but if one can use technology and access to technology and the access to information as well, and make people aware that there are other ways of building these houses. And then I suppose what we are doing is using our particular training or skills to invent systems that people can then copy for themselves or alter it so that it fits their particular needs. But making systems that in general works in terms of that the house won't fall upon them, but that everyone can then make up to their own needs.
I think the point you make about building materials in particular being tailor-made to continue creating houses in a way that they always have been, well not always, but that they have been for many years, is exactly why we need to focus on design. Because, to begin with, but design in mind, keeping in mind what we have available to build with. Because everything that N55 has designed has, well not everything, but most of the things that it's designed and put out there has been produced. And we don't have access to all that special equipment or industries producing custom-made parts for us. So we are looking at what's available, what is out there on the marketplace, and designing things that can be made with that maybe use them in different ways, use pieces from other things in different ways, so that it's not necessarily using things as they're intended, but that's why we have to design them to be possible to use what exists in a different way.